Thank you guys so much. Sure. So our next speaker is Peter Sterling, and Peter is an incredible being. He used to earn a living as a ski instructor back in Aspen, and at an early age he had a talent for music, and he began playing tunes on the piano and showing skill with the flute and guitar. And then he had an abrupt realization in his life, and he felt like he needed to unleash his creative force, which has been dormant in quite some time. So he's been living in Sedona for some years, and Sedona has really been very kind to him and has really unlocked a lot of amazing abilities. And Peter is a harpist, and he's one of the best harp players I know, probably the best. And it's an honor to introduce Peter today, and he's also an incredibly compassionate and loving being. I had a chance to spend a day with him at his house with his family in Sedona, and I just felt the most amazing, peaceful, and loving energy that him and his family radiated. So the information that will be shared tonight is really groundbreaking and is really of the highest importance for our world on all levels. So without further ado, I want to introduce Peter Sterling.
Good afternoon. I thought I would play my harp for you a little bit. Would you like that? A little after? Take a little meditation after lunch and just get into the energy? Taken this one around the world with me and played it at sacred sites around the world. It's got a very special tone. How many people were here, saw me speak in the fall, in October, November? Just a few. Oh, several of you. All right. Let me just adjust this here. My presentation today is called Keys to the Kingdom. And then it's also another aspect of it called Circuits of Connection. And as Ilya was saying, my story is a lifelong story. I actually wrote a book recently about just all my experiences growing up. I had a series of mystical experiences from a young age that led me down a path of, mysticism, spirituality, esoteric studies for most of my life. And through those years, a lot of things have been revealed to me. And, for the last 20 years now, I've been playing the harp and sharing my music and telling stories with my music, like a bard in the bardic tradition, and music and story to carry on that ancient tradition and that kind of wisdom stream. So let's just start with a picture here. Let me bring this up. I have a collection of slides that I'd like to share with you. This one I thought we can look at here. Let me just bring this up. This was at Chichen Itza on December 21st. We traveled down there for the end of the Mayan calendar. And I just felt like talking about that for a minute, because it's like that's come and gone, just a few months ago. And it was such a big deal for me. I had been looking and studying that date for over 25 years and waiting for it with great anticipation. And, my experience was that it kind of went off without a really big bang. I was hoping there would be a mass sighting of the Galactic Federation ships, at least to let us know that they were with us, but nothing quite like that happened anywhere I heard. It was much more subtle. Huh? Oh, okay. But we were in Chichen Itza, and there were we were hoping that the return of Quetzalcoatl would come, or Kukulkan. And perhaps the feathered serpent, the plumed serpent would come, and we would see it coming from the sky. But nothing quite like that happened. And just recently, just being kind of post-2012, post-end of the Mayan calendar, I've noticed for myself that there's been a definite shift in my field, in my awareness. And now more than ever, I find that I'm really living in the moment, because for that 25 years, I had kind of a reference point, like a future time, something we were all looking forward to. And it was kind of like an anchor on the timeline for me. And now I don't have anything like that. There's nothing so much in the future like a prophesied date or end of any more calendars happening. So I find myself just kind of being in a place of timelessness more and more. And this is exactly what Jose Argüelles, who was, really the modern father of contemporary Mayan astrology and astronomy, he said that after this time we would be in a place of no time. We would be beyond time and the end of time. So, in a sense, myself, for me it's been a bit uneasy and not having something to hold on to as far as on the timeline. And anybody else have this experience? A few of you. So I'm kind of sharing from that place with you now. A lot of my beliefs that I had about the Mayan calendar and the transformation of the world and ascension and all of these things, it doesn't quite have the same charge for me now post end of time. But I do believe that there's been circuits and portals opening for us to see. And the veils have been thinning, and I feel like collectively more and more of us are coming into like a collective realization or revelation. And part of that, for me, really, let's get this, let me close this and open up the slideshow here. It really started about 25 years ago when I was led to Sedona, where this picture was taken. And I spent a lot of time out in this particular canyon, Boynton Canyon. I lived in following a guidance from Spirit, I moved into my Volkswagen van and I went on a vision quest, on a walkabout, to discover what my purpose was, what my mission. And my guidance was just go and to meditate and to be in the silence. And I did. I got a Volkswagen camper van, which allowed me to be completely self-sufficient. I really detached from normal reality in a very shamanic way. I ended up living in my car for 3 years and sleeping every night out in the canyons and amongst the ancient ruins. And back in those days, there was a lot of paranormal activity happening, a lot of UFO sightings and encounters like that. But ultimately what happened was, as I sat in the silence over this period of time, I went deeper and deeper into like a samadhi state of consciousness, where my mind was able to become completely empty. And there was no thought for extended periods of time, and just a real expansive opening that was occurring in my consciousness. As my heart was opening, I was doing a lot of therapeutic shamanic work on myself, activating my chakras, my energy body, and doing a lot of healing work to align my meridians and plug into energy, and also spending a lot of time in the vortexes and attuning myself, coming into resonance with the energy of the vortexes of Sedona, which all have different subtle qualities of energy. So attuning myself so I could tell the difference. So much of being in Sedona is about learning to work with energy. I mean, we all are, but there it's much more heightened. And coming out to a place like this and spending hours and just listening to silence really had a dramatic effect on me. Ultimately, what happened was, out of the silence, I began to hear music. And really, it came to me by tuning into a frequency. I heard a very high-pitched ringing tone that was coming off the rocks. When I got very quiet, if you've been to Sedona and you go out to the canyons, and you get very quiet and you listen, you can hear it. And it's a very high-frequency ringing tone. Has anybody ever heard this in Sedona? Okay, a couple of you. So through some intuitive guidance, I began to just come into resonance with that high-pitched ringing. And as I did, that it opened up, the sound opened up through a series of experiences. That became like a portal for me. That was the frequency I was to attune to. And it opened up like a holographic sound. And within it, I heard the heavenly music, the inner music. Like all the mystics of all ancient traditions, mystic traditions, speak of the inner sound. Perhaps the music of the spheres or the angelic choirs. And also the inner light. So as I was here, I began to really see the inner light. My third eye was opening. And simultaneously to that, my third ear began to open, so I could hear the inner sounds. And to my astonishment, at first I thought maybe what I started to hear was subtle at first, but the more that I tuned into it, it became louder. And I thought that perhaps somebody was out in the forest with me, had a little portable stereo, and they were playing some sort of symphonic music. But then I realized that no, that's not what I'm hearing, that it was coming from within. And as I began to have this realization and this revelation, it became like everything was making the sound, like the sound of the leaves in the trees, the birds. There were sometimes trickling streams of water, and that was making the sound. And sitting by Oak Creek, the stream, and listening to the sound of the water, I could hear it there. It seemed like everything was in harmony with this beautiful inner sound. And it was beautiful. Did you see the movie August Rush? About the story of the little boy who heard the music? It was very much like that. I would just go out and I would hear it just swirling all around me. It was quite extraordinary. Many times it was so beautiful. I'd never heard anything as beautiful as that. And it moved me to tears on many, many occasions and to my knees. And just humbling, very, very humbling when you hear. It was absolutely divine. There was no doubt in my mind that what I was experiencing was of a divine origin. And the music got louder and louder, and as I closed my eyes, my inner voice was telling me to surrender and let the music take you. So as I did this, the music, I was able to leave my body. I'd been practicing astral projection and out-of-body travel, soul travel for some time. And so I was taken up into the light, and there, to my astonishment, I was surrounded by angels. And it was like a flock of angels that I could see, and the first ones were the cherubs. And they were playing harps and flutes and violins, and they were like celestial musicians. And so I developed a relationship with them. And they took me on some magical journeys. And ultimately, we ended up being able to communicate. I could see them, and then through telepathy, we were able to communicate with each other. And first I heard their conversations when I was seeing them. And they were talking amongst each other going, wow, look at him. What's he doing here? Do you think he could hear us or see us? And they were talking amongst themselves telepathically, these angels. And so I said to them in my mind, I said, I can see you. And they stopped and they looked at me. And they said, you could see us? I said, yeah, I could see you. I said, can you see me? I said, yeah, we can see you. Can you hear me? Yeah, yeah. And when we realized that we had that connection, they got very, very excited. And they started flying all over and got really happy. And so that was kind of the start of this amazing journey that I've been on with them. And now that's about 25 years. And the music was happening everywhere. The feeling with them was extraordinary love and oneness and unity like I had never experienced. And I came to realize this is the energy, the vibration, the consciousness that they live in. That's their realm, in total oneness. And it was so healing. So healing to be with them. And it just healed my soul, And listening to the music was so beautiful that it washed away lifetimes and lifetimes of pain and sorrow. Beautiful, beautiful. And I felt so grateful, so humbled, and just bowing to the source of this divine music. And ultimately, they took me to this place. And this was known as the Great Central Sun in some traditions. But it was a luminous orb of shining light. And it was radiating pure love. And the sound coming off of it was just like this, like endless rolling harmonies of just the most luscious, harmonic, heavenly music, beyond description, really. As I was looking at it, first it was very bright, but then as I adjusted my inner vision, and I relaxed, and I came into resonance with this very high intensity light and love, that I began to see it. And I could see there was something around it. And as I adjusted my focus of my inner vision on the inner planes, I saw that this light, this luminous orb of golden light, was surrounded by multitudes of angels that were all singing in these heavenly harmonies together, song of praises to the divine, to the source of all love and light in the universe, in the cosmos. That the understanding was that this is God. This is the Godhead. This is the wellspring of all love and light in the known universe. I mean, and it was profound. It was a profound realization, and to see it, and to be, lucky enough and blessed enough to be able to be taken there. If you can see these angels, they're also spiraling around in this kind of infinite spiral around this luminous sphere. That's significant. Here's just a couple other views. I'm going to start flipping through these pictures. These are ink block prints from the turn of the 19th century. Gustav Doré, German artist. He was obviously very inspired and has taken them. They seemed very much like this to me when I saw them. It was like virtual reality. I just want to jump to this. This is just a couple of years ago. I was in Peru on a sacred journey in Peru. And we went to Lake Titicaca. And we went out to Amintani Island in the middle of Lake Titicaca. This is a picture I wanted to show my last presentation in the fall, but I ran out of time and didn't get to show it to you. So I decided I would kind of bring this in right off the bat. We spent the night with this very poor Indian family. And this is in their kitchen with a mud floor and an open fire. And we just had breakfast. We were preparing to leave on the boat after spending the night. And my angels were telling me to play the harp for them. They had been very sweet and kind to us. And So I got out my little harp that we've been traveling through with Peru with, and I started to play for them. This is the grandfather. Here's the granddaughter. She was very sweet. And my friend took a picture as I was invoking the angels, and the next picture shows what appeared in the next image. So I have many, many orb photos and strange photos from, paranormal photos of me, but this was the most dramatic, to really show an ethereal being. That's the ether that you're seeing. And to me, it's really an angel appeared. You can see kind of, to me, it's like the wings are up here, perhaps the head. Here's like an arm or a wing. There's another one. And the body kind of comes down like this, almost like a mermaid's tail. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. So I show this just to let you know that it's real. This is not a fantasy story I'm dreaming up. So when these angels taught me how to play, they said that your mission, because I was asking for my mission, I knew I was a light worker. I knew I was here to serve the great transformation into the golden age. And I had known that since childhood, so I had done different things to fulfill that work. But when I went to Sedona in the early 90s, I knew that I was getting a mission upgrade. And so I was guided to go into the canyons, into the silence, and I would discover what it was. So as I was walking in the canyons and talking to the Great Spirit and walking the medicine wheel and connecting with the land and the energy there, then the angels came and they told me as messengers that your mission is to be a channel for the heavenly music of which you're hearing, and that you're to play the harp. And I wasn't a musician really at the time. I had a Native American flute that I carried with me and played songs for the spirits there in the canyons as an offering. And all of a sudden at 32, they said, you're going to play the harp. And at first I kind of balked. I was like, what? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You want me to play the harp? And they said, we'll teach you how to play. And if you join with us, together we'll work as a team. And we'll help you to bring this very, very special music out to the world. That this music is like a clarion call coming forth from God, calling His children home into oneness, into unify in the power of love and divinity of who we are. And that they told me that people would recognize this music and that it would remind them of home and that it would heal the pain in their soul of separation through many, many lifetimes. And it would be like a guiding light to bring them into the light and to bring them into that frequency. At first I wasn't quite sure that what I was experiencing was real. I actually thought I was losing my mind. Especially because the angels, they started to appear to me with my eyes open. And I had many, many encounters with them in our conversations where they would actually manifest right in front of my eyes in a waking state with no drugs. And this picture was from my first CD, Heart Magic, really the first cover, and really shows how it happened for me. The angels said that they would teach me how to play, and I discovered later on that I had one harp teacher, angelic harp teacher, that actually, when I sat at the harp, I could completely relax. The mantra coming to me was trust, surrender, and let go. Trust, surrender, and let go. And let this energy move through you. And when I did that, my hands would actually just lift themselves to the strings, and they would start to move on the strings by themselves. And it was terrifying. I'd never felt energy like that. I'd dabbled in some channeling and energy stuff, but when this happened, it was like, a being coming through me, without a doubt. And so my hands began to move on the strings, and this is how I started to play. And I would take my harp and go out into the canyons, find a special place to take it out. It's about this big. And I would just sit and start strumming, and then all of a sudden it would just start happening. And it was magical. Hence the name of my thing I've been doing for 20 years is Harp Magic. And that was the name of the first CD. Following the angels' guidance, I made my first recording after only 10 months of playing the harp, which went on to be nominated for a national award in 1994. It got discovered by a record label. and they released it worldwide to critical acclaim, and had great success. And I'd only been playing the harp for 10 months when I recorded it, without any formal lessons, just the angels. Yeah, so it happened very, very quick, how this took off with the angels. And they told me this was going to happen. And to this day, I've received hundreds and hundreds of letters from people all over the world who have spoken of the effects of the music on them. And you can read those on my website if you like. But the music has the power to heal. The harp is perhaps the most magical instrument throughout ancient history. All the ancient cultures had the harp. Egypt, Greece, ancient Samaria, Atlantis before that. And it was always played in the temples of initiation and healing. So there's a real power in it. This picture actually shows, this was taken in front of a TV last year that was not on. There was no flash taken. So this actually shows the circuit that goes out the top of my head, so out of my crown chakra. So what I'm able to do is that sphere of luminous light I showed you, I have a circuit connected into that realm with those angelic beings. That I'm like their earthly counterpart, and working here. And they're actually with us here right now in the room, and they're actually helping to hold a high space for us, so we could come into that unified field of oneness. Part of that process, actually leading up to it, I was doing stained glass and working with sacred geometry since I was 16. I just want to flash through a few of these pieces I've done over the years, give you a sense for, this is the color and light aspect. This came through before the music, so I was doing this work. These hang in private homes and healing centers around the world. This is the I Ching trigrams, with the flower of life kind of variation. And they all have quartz crystals in the center. I inlay crystals and gemstones in the pieces. I'm one of the only stained glass artists I've ever seen that puts gemstones and crystals in the work. Some jewelry pieces. I also did some symbols for the Galactic Federation that came through back in the early 90s. Now, I have so many slides here, I can't show them all to you. I want to make sure I'm able to get them all. That led me, of course, into the study of mandalas, through the ancient cultures, especially Tibetan. And when I would do my stained glass pieces, I would infuse them with prayers and mantras and work from left to right and spiral the energy in. And then, of course, into cymatics and learning about how frequency creates patterns, in different mediums like liquid and sand. Study of cymatics, you can see here all the different shapes that sound makes. Have you seen that recent video that came out recently of the water with the frequency? Have you seen this? Amazing. Truly amazing. And then, of course, we see these patterns, especially like the spiral and the phi ratio spiral in nature, in all its different forms. And I began to wonder about this. It's in all the ancient traditions, phi ratio, and it's everywhere we look. It manifests itself. This is the Hurricane Sandy, and you can see it was a perfect phi ratio spiral coming into New York there. The way water goes down the drain, the way galaxies spiral, it's all the same proportion. What is behind this? What causes this? Now, as I showed you earlier, the picture of the angels spiraling around the great central sun on this higher dimension, as far as I know, that's the highest manifestation that I've seen of this pattern. And then it comes down through the different dimensions, even as the galaxies spiral. Of course, the crop circles should teach us about the importance of phi ratio. This is an interesting shot. This is the from NASA. This is the magnetic field of the heliosphere, which this is the sun and the planets, and the sun creates this magnetic field around the whole solar system. And just in the last few years, through their sensitive space-based telescopes that are just picking up like gamma rays and different radioactive particles and things, it's not with a lens, they were able to discern that this is the pattern that the magnetic field around the whole solar system makes. So perhaps this has something to do with seashells spiraling in that pattern. Now the phi ratio, real quick, of course it's found in everything. What I've been shown is that phi ratio is part of this patterning that's found everywhere in the human body. And we all take form through it. It's also related to the Fibonacci series. And our DNA here makes a phi ratio spiral. This was interesting. This is how you make a phi ratio spiral with 3 circles. And then this was related to the Mayan calendar. I showed this last fall. The Mayan calendar is often depicted with 3 wheels turning within each other. What I discovered was that, which I felt was significant, was that the Mayans, they charted time, they knew it was cyclical, and that it moved in a phi ratio spiral like everything else. Time is not linear, like Western thought would have us believe, past, present, future, but it is cyclical and it moves in a spiral. Here you can see, even right here, this curving of the white. This is phi ratio spiral right there. Do you see that? I have a wonderful video here if you want to just see it, just for a minute.
Way of demonstrating.
And we can see how the wheels of the Mayan calendar, you'll see the spiral here as they move together. The 13 tones and the 20-day signs alternating, creating a 260-day cycle. But see the spiral right there, spiraling out through time. Isn't that beautiful? You see it? So we're really living in a time spiral. This is a quantum understanding to come into, but can open gateways and portals to your consciousness once you begin to have these realizations, see it. It is a time spiral. The disc of Festos, don't have time to get into it. Do a Google on it. Phaestos, from ancient Minoan civilization. It's a spiral, it's a calendar, spiraling on both sides. Star map. Of course, the ancients left us many engravings about the spiral. They seem to be fascinated with it too for hundreds, if not thousands of years. This is from Lagrange in Ireland. It's a 4,000-year-old stone with the spirals cut in, going both directions. And of course, the Norway spiral. A couple years ago. Let's go through these pretty quick. I love this image. This is probably 1,000 years old or so in Arizona. And here's a spiral in the sky. Here's the beings, they're holding hands. And they're dancing and they're going up, up, up together. You see that? My sense is that maybe they left this to show us what happened in the past. Perhaps there was a portal or stargate and they all unified and came as one, and they just danced right up in a joyous dancing celebration through. And of course the crop circles show us. I walked through this one. As you come into these understandings, you can start to see the fractal nature of reality as our perceptions are able to peer into the more subtle realms and see the patterning behind, all material form. Fast forward here a little bit. Let's see. This is important. I learned about the Flower of Life back in the mid-'80s. I did Drumbelow's workshop back in 1987 with 5 people when he first started teaching. And but this is very important. I've been kind of studying this pattern. If you stare at this for a while and really let your eyes soften, it starts to become very three-dimensional. Can you see that? You can eventually see all the individual spheres and bubbles like all kind of forming around each other. what I discovered recently, one of the things that's come through recent, is that if you look at this, you can also see within all these circles and upon circles, there's also this line here, moving like pyramids all through it. Do you see all the pyramids going through it? Now, and then this, the Sri Yantra. This is the Maha Yantra of them all. And I felt there was a relationship with this. What's been shown to me is that this is a portal, it's a dimensional portal. And I will show you later on how this relates with the harmonic code of 333. But first, what I found interesting is, I have a little thing here, if it will come up for me. Let's see if I can get this for us. Okay. Everything is different when I plugged in the computer to the screen. It just seemed to, I lost all the sizes changed of everything. Let's see how I'm going to do this here for you, because it's very much different than how I had it. I don't know why it does that. But what I did was I was able to overlay the Sri Yantra on top of the flower of life. And let's see if I can bring this for you. So what you can do is you can see how the Sri Yantra, the lines of all these tetrahedral and pyramid shapes, actually are kind of in harmonic resonance with all the pyramids going through the flower of life pattern. It's difficult to see here. Unfortunately, the computer did some sort of weird, distorted perception here of everything when I plugged it in, but I don't know. Can you see that at all, what I'm getting at? Ooh, okay. So in a sense, you could see how, like, the flower of life is all circles. So maybe that's more feminine, because it's the flower of life. The Sri Yantra, to me, has a very masculine feel. It's all straight lines and pyramidal shapes. So maybe the Sri Yantra is kind of the electric. Everything is electromagnetic. So perhaps this is the masculine electric aspect of the same portal, just looking through a different lens to see it. Very interesting, the Sri Yantra. Much has been revealed to me lately about it, and I want to show it to you. So I think what we'll do is we'll just jump right into this part here. Now, as I was saying, the numeric code of 333, it actually came to me in the crop circles a couple of years ago. I was in England. For 3 years in a row, I led groups and traveled with groups to the crop circles after I had an extraordinary kind of ET encounter experience. And I took my harp and I hold it up into the wind, and the wind plays the harp. And I've done this all over the world. I have a picture I can show you in a minute. But I recorded a recording in the middle of this crop circle of the wind harp. And as I was working in the studio to put it together, I was told to make it exactly 33 minutes, 33 seconds, and 33 100ths in length. And I didn't know why, but they were communicating to me, telling me, the circle makers, telling me to make it this length. And they said, you'll discover about this. Very important, 333. So I did that, and since then, much has been discovered about the 333. For instance, one of the main things that came through was, you know the shape of the star tetrahedron? And I can show you a picture of it in the other slideshow, but it's a tetrahedronal, star tetrahedron that, like Drunvalo teaches about. That, the numeric code of that is 333, believe it or not. Now, let's take a look at this here. Oh, yeah. So this is the Sri Yantra, and you can see right here, even with the Sri Yantra, we have 3 main pyramids, 1, 2, and 3 going up, and 3 going down. Do you see that? Okay, so the 333 is encoded right into this pattern. And it's all harmonics because there's overtones. So, the main frequency is the most dominant one, but within it there's all subharmonics and higher harmonics, which are like reverberating. So this is actually showing the dimensionality of it. And sound is very important factor in all this. The Four of Diamonds, you see? Could be, yeah. I haven't seen it. Right. So, now, when I was in Egypt, I took this picture. And just in the last few months, I started going back and studying from my trip that I was on. You can see here in the pyramids, especially this one, what we can see is the 333 is here. Do you see it? See if you can see the 333. I was kind of really astounded to see it. Yes. So, of course, we have the three main pyramids. Then we have the three, what they call the pyramids of the queens. And then each one of these is 3 levels. So, and also you can see the proportion between the pyramids is phi ratio. Can you see that? You can see how the Great Pyramid, then this next one, and then this one, just the proportion, the relationship they are to each other is phi ratio. I believe that's what they were, partly what was encoded into this, of course. Now, this is at the Temple of Horus. Anybody been to the Temple of Horus? Raise your hand. Barbara has. So I studied this. I started to look at this, and I began to see the 333 all over the Temple of Horus. Now, for one, you can see here's this big being, and then the being gets a little smaller, and then a little smaller. So right there, the relationship between these 3 beings, and also these 3 beings, is a phi ratio proportion to one another. Do you see that? And of course, we've got 3, on each side. And then as we go in, this is the entrance, and then you go in, and then there's this courtyard, then the main temple. If we look here, we can see there's 3 rows of pillars. And then 3 rows of pillars, 3, and then 3 deep. Do you see that? And then as you look into the pyramid, into the Holy of Holies, you can see how this is like a dimensional gateway. This is not by accident. This was built on purpose like that. They understood the dimensions, and this is inside. Here, let's see. This is EJ. Is EJ in the room? She's here, but she was with us. Now, then also, this is over in the Valley of the Kings, near Queen Hesheput's temple. What I discovered looking at these later, unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with this. Let's see if I can get this picture. Okay, there it is. Good. This is an ancient ruin of some sort. And you can see here quite clearly that here's the one arch, and then this one, and there was another smaller one here. The relationship between the size of these 3 ruins was phi ratio. Can you see that? Okay. Then this is right next to it, Hesheput's temple. Of course, we can see here there's 3 levels to the temple. There's EJ going up the steps. I wish she was here to see herself. And then you get up on this first causeway, and then the second, and takes you up to the 3rd level. Now, when I was in Peru, this is it in the Sacred Valley. I can't remember the name of this place. But this is the Temple of the Sun. And I started to look at this closely. You can see here there's a progression. Look how these huge stones way up on top of this ridge are not the same in length. They progress. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then they change on this side again. 1, 2, 3, and then right here on the corner, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I believe they're telling us something very, very important. It's hidden, esoteric hidden knowledge. It's coded into all the ancient structures. They all knew. This is the template. This is the matrix. It's a portal. into the higher dimensions. It's woven in the Sri Yantra, it's in the Flower of Life, it's in the Egypt pyramids, it's in Peru. It's a close-up Temple of the Sun. For some reason, in Peru, it's very common to have the three levels because they believed in the underworld, the middle world, and the heavenly world, three levels. But this is, and they often had that symbol portrayed in this type of, but this one actually has 5 levels, I believe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they did it 3 times on the stone, right in the middle there. There must be something important about that. Maybe they're telling us that, and they did it 3 times again, see? Maybe this is, and then there's 5 levels. Maybe that means the 5th dimension. I don't know. Could be. I'm sure it does, because it's all hologram anyway, so. Okay. And then down below, you can see where the sacred bath was before you go up on the hill. We have 3 levels, and then 3 showing the dimension of it. And then in all their terraces that they create, there's 3 levels, 1, 2, 3, all over. It's all 3s, 3, 3, 3s everywhere. Wherever you look. This is a beautiful place. I can't remember the name of it. And that's playing the wind harp above the Sacred Valley. I wanted to show you some crop circles. 333 is very, very prevalent in the crop circle codes. They're telling us something about this, something for us to understand. So just look at this pattern. Do you see the 333 in it? These are holograms. You have to open your third eye and just kind of let it start to pulsate and come to life for you. Don't look at it like hard. Just allow the mind to open and you'll see it. I was in this one. So for those who don't see it, I'll just point it out to you. Of course, we've got 3 rings, and then 3 points here, and then 3 here. So the 333 there. Here's another one. Look at this one. Do you see it? It's a dimensional portal. It's a wormhole. They're showing us this perspective of dimension here. That's one of the main teachings of the crop circles and the holographic nature of reality. This one too, 333. There's 3, 3, and 3 on the outside. Then you see the 3 going in. And this I find, I was just looking at this last night. I always wondered what this is right here. Duh. What does it look like? It's a key. It's a key. Okay? It's a cosmic key to the 5th dimension. Okay? They're like, these are dimensional portals. So they're saying this is a key. There's another 333. Do you see it? Very, very common in the crop circles. Why are they showing us this? Look at this one. So in your face, 333. Come on. Okay, we get it. We get it, right? Do you get it? All right. It's pretty obvious now. You don't find this with repeating patterns so much with 4s or 5s, although you do, and some years had more of those particular numbers, but the 333 is very common every year. It's always there. There's another 333. Very artistic, yes. I mean, these are holograms, so you have to look at all the different meanings in it. Like you could see here, for instance, on the outer circle, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1. 1, 3, 5, 7. There's a meaning to that, obviously. But you can see, on the inner, there's 3 sections around the very middle. Somebody's sitting in there, meditating in the middle right there. Gives you a scope. Here it is again, fractal. This one is known as the Mandelbrot, but it's a 3-3-3. Do you see it? 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, in the last 6 months, what's been revealed to me, living in Sedona, and my time is running out so quickly here. I've been studying the rocks. We moved back to Sedona in July, and I always knew I'd be living in Sedona during the 2012 end date time, and we got a house up on the hill. This is just around the corner from our house, and I'll show you some other views from our patio, but I began to study the rocks, and what's been revealed to me in the last few months is that in Sedona is a very unique place because we can go back in geologic Earth time about 450 million years by looking at the layers. The oldest layer we see in Sedona is 450 million years, and there's been, millions of years of erosion on these rocks. And so through all this time of erosion, what is happening is that it has exposed the bones of the rocks, or the lattice upon which the rocks, coalesced and manifested. And through the erosion now we can see the lattice work underlying these formations. What I've seen in the rocks in Sedona, to me, without a doubt, I'm seeing, and all over the landscape now I'm looking for it, I'm seeing the 3-3-3. Because what I was told by the angels and the masters is that we all come through that portal. Everything in physical manifestation here has come through that phi ratio 3-3-3 portal into manifestation. And even the rocks here. So this is recently this winter, and this is Schnebly Hill Formation, and I want you to just draw your attention to this line here, and then another one here. So wherever I'm seeing in the rocks now, I'm seeing patterns emerging in the rocks. I've been studying now. I've been living there on and off for 25 years and studying them. Now I'm starting to see them at a whole another level. Now this is interesting to note as well. This is the Schnebly Hill Formation. You can see these rocks are curving back this way. Do you see that? What the geology says is this is near, at that period of time, these were sandblasted because it was like the Sahara Desert. This is like sandstone up there, eroded, and they said that there were like 200-mile-an-hour winds during this time on the Earth, and very volcanic, very hot and sandy, like a desert. So this was all eroded by sand and incredibly high winds blowing, and you can see it all over the Sedona landscape. This is a close-up of one of those sections. Do you see the 3 lines? Notice the relationship. Here, here, here. It's like phi ratio, too. You can see the proportion. Here it is when it was dry. And it's this one, and this one. This is not on the same trajectory. You see the similar, it's all the same line, the same angle. 3 major sections. Do you see it? Okay. Now this one, this is the pyramid rock here, one of them. And you can see a pyramid here. There's another one here. And there's another one here. And then you can also see, here's a close-up. Yes? Okay, good. And that's perfect timing. Thank you. Yes. So here again, here's the pyramid, right? Here's another one, and then here's another one forming here. And then down below you can see a subharmonic here, and there's one here and down here. You have to look for them. You have to open to see them. Here you can really see. See, here's the main pyramid. Here's another lower one. There's the main one. Here's another lower one, main one, and another lower one here. Do you see that? Like in the Bible it says, in the sacred books, even the Mayan books of creation stories said, in the beginning was the Word, was the sound. Everything was created by sound. Comes into manifestation by sound frequency, including these rocks, including us. So here we can really see it, and we can see the 3-3-3 pattern emerging. This one is out near, this is Wilson Mountain at the end of Jordan Road, and we're looking at these, once again, 3 lines. They're all different levels on the rock. Here's a close-up. Yeah. Do you see this? So once again, 3. It's all over Sedona. Even Bell Rock. When you look at Bell Rock from the side, and I meant to get the pictures and bring them here, unfortunately I didn't. But if you look at Bell Rock from the side, you can see like 3 waves of its making and erosion. It's very obvious. This is, I like from the winter because it shows the lines. Yeah. Now this is from our deck at our house. This is the view we get to look at every day. It's pretty splendid. Thunder Mountain. Here's a close-up. This is fascinating because what's also come to me in the last few years, a few years back I acquired some beautiful stalagmites from a cave from China for the Tucson Gemstone. One looks like a lingam, a phallus, and the other looks like a beautiful arc of a feminine body. So we have them sitting on either side of a chair, and we have the masculine one here and the feminine one here. And by studying these forms, they're organic forms, and we're an organic form. So all these forms are echoed through nature. Like for instance, it was fascinating to me. You can see this chimney rock. But if you look at it, you can see here's the head of a man, here's his jaw, he's got kind of his mouth open, and here's his phallus, you see. And then this is Sugarloaf right in front, and here's another head, but she's round, she has a bust. You see that? Can you see that? It's like a man and a woman laying side by side. Now, also, here's Thunder Mountain. Okay. Here's the next thing and the next thing. You can see actually coming down, here's the main Thunder Mountain. And here's the next shot, and here's the next shot. See the relationship between this major formation. It's phi ratio, this not perfect, but within harmonic resonance enough to show it. Now you can also see how there's 3 of these phalluses going up on the same ridge of different varying progressions. Do you see that through the erosion? It's a close-up of it again. Thunder Mountain. This is on the way to Tucson, and you can see this range. And when I look at these ranges now across, even driving, when I drive back, you can see them. They're always in 3. There's always like the main peak, then the next big peak, and then the little one over here. And it's all over the place. You can see it. This one was farther down the road, and you can see the main ridge going up. Here's the main peak, then the next one, and the next one. And then even right in here, there's 3 smaller ranges right in front, like a subharmonic. Let me see if I can zoom in on that for you. Can you see it? See, these are the smaller ranges in front. Okay, let's see what else we got here. This I wanted to share with you. This is Herkimer diamonds. And I've been working with crystals for many, many years. And what came to me just the other night, and this was something special I wanted to share with you. You know how it is when crystals grow from a phi ratio, they spiral in their growth. And they're tetrahedral in their structure on an atomic level. But if you ever notice when you get a crystal and you just put it in your hand, you start feeling it, and then you find a place where it just fits perfectly in your hand. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like whenever I get a special piece, I always look for that place, like right where my thumb's going to fit perfectly on that face, and it's going to feel good, you know? You know that feeling? Okay, what they told me the other day is because we emerge from phi ratios, we saw it's all through our body, we're an expression of that, as our crystals. So when you want to work with a crystal, you find that place where it just fits perfectly, like the fingers just fall perfectly on the facets, and it's a perfect fit. That's where you have resonance with the crystal. Your crystalline nature and the crystalline nature's interface through that resonant point. That's a circuit of connection. So when you're working with your crystals, we have some special ones, by the way. Look for that place, and you'll see that you'll have much more success, because crystals have within the structure of their lattice work, they have that 333 in it, and they can actually be crystalline tools to help us to access these other levels of consciousness or dimensional portals, or dimensions. Here was Crystal holding a beautiful piece, and it just holding this piece with just both hands just felt perfectly around it. Okay, let me just jump out of here. Are there any questions at this point about anything? Yes.
So the pattern of three, I hear that like doing something in three is a complete cycle. What's practical application?
Practical application. Okay, what I was told is just to, because it's a harmonic, it's like a harmonic code that activates the DNA and activates the light body. So it's connected with our fifth dimensional light body because we are making an ascension and the dimensions are opening up. Our perceptions are expanding collectively and the third eye is awakening collectively for the awakened ones and we're starting to see. The veils are being thinned. So this particular matrix of which we want to start to perceive is based on these patternings. So most people go through life and they don't see this stuff. They don't see the fractal nature. They don't see the phi ratio and anything. But when you start to really look and inquiry into these things and start to perceive, then your perceptions will begin to change and the veils will even begin to part more. And this will activate in you, it will bring forth latent like soul powers. It'll bring you more into your soul essence, into your higher self essence. And your whole perception of reality will change. And plus, by that happening, you will regain all the gifts of your soul, like hidden talents that you never even knew you had, like for healing or clairvoyance or whatever it is, for making banjos. Whatever it is. This will come to you now, if this is what you're seeking. So, point being was just to start to look at this stuff. And let me see if I have a little more time here to show you just a few more images, because there's really some beautiful stuff in here that I really didn't get to. Now, as I was showing you this image of the Sri Yantra, this image here is a schematic of the atomic structure of quartz crystal. So you look here, we can see all these reverberating progressions of tetrahedral structure here. This is the side view. This is looking down on the matrix of quartz. And we can see this is like a Metatron's cube, Merkaba tetrahedral star tetrahedron here. And then here on the side, you know how crystals sometimes have those, 10 minutes? Okay. Have those, you see little pyramids on the facets. And a lot of people think, that means it's a record keeper or it has special information. It may. But you're also seeing a manifestation of its atomic structure on the surface of the crystal. But if you look at this here, look at all the triangles and then you compare that to this, you can see it's very similar. Do you see? So that's why crystal has the ability to access, it's in resonance with this template and can help us because they magnify energy and they can magnify your intentions and they vibrate at those levels. Now, let me go over here. Some other really cool things. Of course, there's Dr. Emoto's work, and then we see how these patterns are found on subatomic level. We'll see what else I want to... Now, talking about crystals, just real quick, all quartz crystals, the facet is at 52 degrees, and that's the same angle as the pyramids in Egypt, 52 degrees. So, of course, the pyramids are like giant crystal oscillators that are ascension chambers that could take people, initiates, into the higher dimensions through the harmonic resonance of the structure, which was totally built in harmony with the divine proportions throughout all dimensions and the cosmos. And crystals spiral when they grow. They kind of, the atoms, it's in a phi ratio spiral. Actually, if you take a quartz crystal and you look down at the top and you see there's a large facet, and the facets, they progress in size. You look at it, it's a phi ratio progression on all the facets of a quartz crystal around the top. They spiral up like that. Check it out. So, let's see. I have over 200 slides. I normally do this in 3 to 4 hours, but I just wanted to pick out some of the highlights for you. This was interesting to me. I wanted to show you this. This is the Sanskrit alphabet. And in a yoga class a few years back, I was in Downward Dog, and they had one of these posters on the back wall, and I was looking at it upside down. And so Now, does this not look like somebody doing a back bend? Or doing kicking one foot up in the air, the arms coming down ahead? You can see them doing also. This is like yoga. So the yoga poses, the rishis who were tuning in, brought through yoga, the ancient rishis, and doing the mantras and everything they were doing, the poses are just a physical manifestation of the vibrations of the different sounds and tones, of the harmonics. Can you see that? Well, I turned it upside down so you can see, like, when you look at it like that, it doesn't really look like yoga. But when you flip it up, when you're upside down looking at this, it looks like this. And then it looks like they're doing a yoga pose. If you don't see that, raise your hand. Do you see it? You don't quite see it? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, I don't know. Look at this. One kick up, he's doing a back bend, arms down. Do you see that? Anyway, that's just a little tidbit. You can find that later. Harmonics, getting to understand harmonics is key. That's why we do the nada yoga, which is the sound yoga. So you start working with tuning forks and bells and crystal bowls, and you would tune yourself, come into resonance with these frequencies and learn about the subtle differences between them. This is going to open up your consciousness. Very powerful tools. Why is this important? Like, for instance, this is in Saqqara in Egypt. This is where the Temple of Sound is, outside of Cairo. Look at the temple entrance here. Very, very unique of any Egyptian temple. Notice, they're showing us again. Here's like perhaps 1, 2, 3. Here's the main one. Then it goes in dimensionally, perhaps 3 layers. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 and 3 again. And then maybe there's 3, you can see the level. So the 3, 3, 3 is here again. But notice it's a very unusual entrance to a temple here. And I just want to take you into the Temple of Sound. As you come into the courtyard here, there's the Great Step Pyramid. I actually played my harp down in the subterranean pit of this pyramid with a group. And also around this structure here is the Temple of Sound. And these 3 pillars are very important. These have not been vandalized at all. They were like this in a temple structure. There's a very significant. Notice there's some sort of progression going up here, and on this one too, and on this one too. And when you stand on this platform here, and the wind blows through there, these things vibrate, and you can hear sound coming off of them. You can feel it, because they're in resonance with this harmonic patterning. So they were all over it. I got to play my harp up there. It's really cool. And see, this to me relates to this crop circle you can see here. It's a spiral. It's a progression that steps down in different levels. Here's the 3. 1, 2, 3, right? Showing us again. Later on, this was deciphered by somebody, and this is all phi ratio proportions. This is phi ratio proportion, the way this circle relates to this one and to this one. Let me get out of here real quick, see if there's anything more. I'm running out of time. I have some wonderful stuff on the relationship between the Mayan calendar Zolkin and the I Ching. They're all harmonic. It's a harmonic modules. And for those who haven't seen this, for instance, this is the way we develop as human beings in a cellular level, cell mitosis. We go from a single cell to 2 and split here, right? This is what we look like when we're about... This is the first, within a matter of hours. This is, come on, let me raise this up for us here. Okay, there. The first 8 cells of human life. And we can see that pattern there. Look at it. Look how it's related to the seed of life. This is the middle of the flower of life. It's called the seed of life. This is made out of 8 circles as well. Or 6 circles, but I think it's 8 because there's some that we can't actually, they're on the back side. Look at the relationship. So we emerge out of that same pattern. You all know this already, right? You've seen this? Okay. It's always good to see it again, though. And the way that atoms bond. Here's later on in cellular mitosis, much more related to the flower of life. Yeah. Okay. Anything else here? This is a great shot. Just going to flip through some of these real quick. Just take them in. Platonic solids, Metatron's cube. You come into you start seeing this, and then you start to see your energy body. You can start to access your etheric body, your higher dimensional body comes into view, comes into tangible expression for you. Then you get into your light body, your chakras are singing harmonically aligned, and you have access. And you enter into the quantum field, into the rainbow world of the most beautiful colors and sensations your soul has ever known. And it's just a beautiful thing. Hold on. Yes? I've just got a couple
What you
minutes
just said,
there.
do you know anyone who has accessed that and then came back and told you how to get there?
Well, I've accessed it.
Okay, so how do you get there?
I'm showing you. Start looking. I'm showing you the portal
Well,
right
I've
here.
been seeing the threes too, so
Okay.
they're speaking to me as well.
Right.
And they speak to me in numbers and people and other experiences.
Cool. We'll talk after and on.
That'd be great.
This is really of interest here. This is a recent shot from NASA. This is our sun right here. And it's right at this little blot. And then they blew that up. Here's our sun. And we're traveling this direction in our solar system. And this massive structure in the universe, which is the edge of the Oort cloud, is moving towards us. And this is, we're actually in it now. We've entered into this part of space. And this is why we're seeing so many more asteroids and comets coming in now, which was part of the prophecies. Because we've entered into a whole new area of space. This is another view of it. This is more current. This shows our sun right here, and it's right on the edge of this aspect of the Oort cloud moving into it, and it's moving towards us. Isn't that fascinating? These are all stars with planets. The blue ones all have planets around them in our closest neighbors. And the galactic pulse. Let's see here. I don't have time to get into one last thing. Let's see. What can I go out with here with you? So these are just some beautiful images, of course. This is the idea, is to start seeing these patterns, and then the light body gets activated. And you become a harmonic being. You're very attuned. You're vibrating faster. This is the idea. We receive more light in our DNA, in our cellular level, with the power of the divine oneness of God's source, intelligence, and love. You start to vibrate to that, and you can get into your crystal vehicle of the Merkaba, and you get your wings, and you get to fly and travel interdimensionally into the realms of luminous light. It's spectacular. I've been there. It's extraordinary. And so, thank you very much. I'll see you in the light.
Let's give one more round of applause for Peter Sterling, please. I'd like to just honor Peter for the very important role that he plays for all of us, through his music, through his knowledge, and just really what he's all about is assisting all of us. And you have blazed an amazing trail for us, and from me, I thank you. So, we're going to take a break until 4:20, at which point Laura Eisenhower will do her presentation. So please make sure to check out all the vendors, maybe get a little something to drink or something to eat, and then we'll be back here at 4:20. Thank you. No, 420 is good. I like that number.